Dude, I just ate a whole bag of candy corn the other day. That's
You did not?
actually a true story. I did. I got candy corn for the first time because it's
jealous.
that season. I'm just like, oh, this will be Halloween games.
It's for candy corn lovers only, so.
Yeah. Down in the comments, let us know. Candy corn, yay or nay? I'm
The
very
answer is
yay.
yay. The answer
I'm
is
very yay. What's up, everybody? My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
We are the Brothers Murph, and that's right. We're going to talk about our top 10 Halloween games you can play around the Halloween season.
Yeah.
Now, you might think, guys, it's still September, but if you want to maybe check out some of these games, either from a friend or buy them at a store, you need to list a little bit early. So we're going to do it right now.
I've seen pumpkin carving stuff in the grocery
it's
store
been
for
there.
like 2 months already, so we're
been
not that early,
Yeah.
but let's get right to it. All right, number 10 is going to be The Night Cage. This is a perfect Halloween-y kind of game because it's a horror-themed game that puts you in the shoes of these prisoners who are trying to escape this prison that's shrouded in darkness. And it's run by these creatures called the Wax Eaters who despise the light. So all you have as light is a tiny, weak candle that is going to illuminate part of the board where you are. Basically, you're gonna be moving through these different tiles that show pathways, and you can only see the things that are connected to your current location. So you are all trying to move around the board, you're working together, in such a way that you can help illuminate things and move each other around. But then as you move away, things fall back into darkness and those tiles will go away. So this game does a really great job of making you feel that kind of pressure of walking around in the dark and not knowing what's coming around a corner and there might be a monster or something like that. It really does live within its theme fully, and it does a really good job of creating that situation where you kind of get freaked out playing, even though we're in a room with plenty of light and everything like that. It gives you that kind of, for us, that feeling of like when you were watching a scary movie as a kid and you get kind of all, you freak yourself out kind of thing. This game does a really good job of kind of harnessing that feeling.
Number 9 is not necessarily like Halloween-y themed, but it's witch themed, and this is going to be Septima. Septima is, again, not really like a big spooky game, but it's kind of set in that kind of autumn, witchy kind of feel to it. It's got nice and like black and purple to it. I don't know, it feels very Halloween-y, at least to us. This is a game where you are a coven of witches, but you are good witches. You are not bad witches. You are actively trying to help people, but in a lot of these situations, the people want your help but don't trust you. Let's just put it that way. And they don't really like you. And so as you are helping these people out, sometimes there are kind of like witch hunters around the board who are trying to kind of round up your people and put them onto trial. And you can get your people off of trial. Sometimes they don't, that doesn't go well. They end up going to jail and things like that. And you're doing all of these different actions around the board. And there's actually a action selection system where you're all kind of selecting actions to do simultaneously, and doing the same action as someone else is not actually a bad thing. Very often it benefits you, but when you're doing something with someone else, it is going to attract the attention of kind of like the Inquisitors, the witch hunters, because you're kind of working together. They go, ooh, there's spooky stuff going on here with witches. We need to go that way. And so it's one of those things where it's like strategically deciding when to do stuff with people is kind of a big part of the game, because the game is not cooperative. Again, it's a competitive game. You're all a coven of witches, but you're not like all on the same team kind of thing. I really like Septima. Septima is a cool game that we haven't really played as much as we frankly should have. We played it a couple times and really, really enjoyed it. But it's just one of those games that we need to make sure we're proactively getting back to the table. And this time of year, kind of the autumn is really the perfect time for it because it just feels right. I really like Septima. I love the theme. I love the look. It's just a great game.
Next up is going to be Zombicide. Take your pick of which version of them. But this is a game where there's zombies and they're coming at you and running in and attacking you, and you're just blasting your way out, which just feels very kind of in Halloween. There's haunted houses and Universal Studios and stuff, and The Walking Dead is a thing. And so it always feels like an appropriate kind of schlocky, fun, good time. In this game, you are going to be working together. You're going to have a certain scenario, which is going to make you traverse different parts of the map, explore buildings, kind of hopefully not make too much noise to draw these zombies of varying types your way. There's been a ton of versions of this game and really fun, kooky characters and things that are parodies of well-known IPs and stuff like that. So it's just a fun, dice chucking, good time. You are up against like literal hordes of zombies. And so it's really fun any time of year. But this time of year, why not have some zombicide fun?
Number 7 is going to be Vagrantsong. This is a game that's kind of all about ghosts and spirits and things like that. Vagrantsong is a cooperative game, a cooperative kind of, I guess it is kind of a campaign, but it's kind of a scenario-based game where you're going up against certain kinds of haunts. And these haunts are ghosts. They are going to be a ghost that you are then trying to essentially like, I guess settle is the best way, but you're doing it on a board, kind of a big train car, because you're vagrants, right? You got your bindle and things like that. It's got this very cool world, very cool look to it. The look particularly is absolutely incredible. And then each one of these haunts is going to work differently. They're going to have certain things that they do, certain challenges that they're going to have. You also have a specific character, a kind of a vagrant, and that character is going to have a certain power, is going to have specific cards. You're getting junk as you go through the game, and those are kind of like items that you can get. You're rolling dice trying to do your kind of special abilities and trying to basically manage the whole situation and kind of put this haunt to rest. It's really, really fun. It's a very difficult game. I kind of wish there was a slightly easier, like a easy mode for this game, because I feel like every time we play this, we get absolutely wrecked, but I do really like the game. And I love the world and I love the look. I just think it's so cool. All these different haunts, all these different ways to play. I just think it's fascinating. And it's a great game to play around here because you're like on a big kind of freight car. There's haunts everywhere. There's spooky stuff. It's really, really cool.
Next up is going to be BOOoop, which is the second game in the BOOoop line of games that is Halloween themed. So now you are still doing an abstract game where you are placing kittens onto a bed that are booping or moving other kittens one space away. But now we add in some spooky theming. So one, the cats are like little witches and pumpkin cats. 10 out of 10 adorable, amazing. And now each player has a ghost cat, which is going to just kind of have a programmed movement across the bed and add a little bit of different things that'll make, different ways that they will interact with the game. They will also boop things away, but they're not taking up spaces. They're kind of in between the spaces. And again, you kind of place them and they go all the way across the bed. And then once they come back off, you can place them somewhere else. So I love that it keeps the core of BOOoop, where you're trying to get kittens in a line to get three cats in a line to win. But with the added theming and having kind of an orange, very fall-looking bed and the different themed cats toward Halloween, just makes it super duper delightful. And that ghost cat adds a little bit of difference from the base game so that you can have like a new thing to add in, or just play regular BOOoop without that ghost cat, but now you have a Halloween themed set.
Number 5 is if Clue was kind of on steroids, and that is Mysterium. Mysterium is a really, really interesting game, and it's a very good game to play like low light, have one person as the ghost and everyone else as the investigators. This is a game where, as I said, one person is a ghost, and that ghost, unfortunately, has lost their life. And all the other people need to try and figure out the who, what, where. Who, what, where. Yeah, I was going to say why. The why doesn't matter. The who, what, where. Basically, where are they killed, with what, and by who. And there are cards out there and items out there and locations out there. And the ghost is trying to convey to the investigators who, what, where. They know who killed them, but they can't talk because they're a ghost. So they have to do this through dream cards. These dream cards are kind of like Dixit type cards. They're like those kind of big tarot-sized cards. They're very like kind of weird art, but very beautiful and whimsical and things like that. And they're going to be giving these cards out to the investigators, trying to point them in certain directions. And those directions could be color-based, like, hey, I'm giving you a lot of blue cards because the background of the person who killed me is all blue. But they might interpret those cards differently. And so then as the investigators are interpreting things, you have to kind of adapt how you end up playing the game and adapt what cards you give them. Because you're like, okay, they're very color-focused, so I now need to start focusing on that as opposed to the other thing that I was focusing on. It's a really cool game. It's kind of an odd game because one person is the ghost and they're playing like half of the game and then the other half is played by all the other players. But I actually think that's kind of useful if you're playing with maybe not the most experienced gamers, because the person who's the ghost can kind of be doing a lot of the kind of heavy lifting, and then everyone else can be working together to try and figure out, you know, the who, what, where kind of thing. I really like Mysterium. I think it's really, really cool. And it's a great game for kind of low light, kind of like, ooh, there's a ghost trying to speak to us. What are you saying, ghost? It's just very cool.
Next up is going to be The Bloody Inn. This is a game where you are running a hotel and you're maybe trying to get away with murdering some of your guests and stealing all their money. You find out like, hey, they could rent the place and that gives me a little money, or I could just fleece them for all that they got and bury them under the, you know, under the hotel. It'd be great. So this is a game with a very, you know, macabre, morbid theme, but it's very fun. And it's actually a hand management card game, where to do the various actions, whether it be bribe people, which means bringing cards into your hand to be able to use their effects and abilities, build annexes, you know, murder your guests, bury them and stuff, you have to spend cards from your hand to do these actions. So there's a real kind of cleanness to the design, where there are level kind of 1, 2, and 3 guests, and if you want to do something with a level 2 guest, it costs 2 cards, 3 costs 3 cards, and so on. But there's various ways you can give yourself discounts and stuff for certain types of actions. There's various different abilities that cards have, and then the money that, you know, they produce if you manage to murder someone. But there's also police running around, so they're going to do investigations. They don't prefer to find a body on the ground, and you know, you might have to bribe the grave digger and take someone away, and you don't want that because it loses you points. And so it's just a really fun, unique theme for a game, which is something we always appreciate when it was like, I've never played a game where you're doing that before.
Number 3 is gonna be Horrified, because it's literally about like movie monsters. There's a bunch of different kinds of Horrified. There's a new D&D one that came out. That one's slightly less Halloween-y in my opinion. But let's go ahead and talk about the original Horrified. Horrified was based off of the Universal movie monsters. So like, you know, Frankenstein and Frankenstein's Bride, the Creature of the Black Lagoon, Dracula and stuff like that. But it's very like old-timey kind of spooky monsters and stuff like that, which is really, really cool. And it's a cooperative game where you are all working together to try and defeat these monsters. And you can play with a certain amount of monsters depending on how difficult you want it to be. Every single character is going to have a little bit of a special ability, but nothing too crazy. And there are going to be these various items and stuff around the board, and all of these monsters are going to work differently. So like Dracula will have their caskets around the board. I think there's 4 of them, and you need to find these caskets and get probably red items, and you turn those red items, and that's you smashing up those caskets, and that's one of the caskets gone. Once you get all 4 of the caskets gone, that's how you defeat Dracula, right? So all of these different monsters work in different ways, and certain things that you need to do, what items you need, where you need to go on the map, all of those kinds of things. But then there are also kind of like citizens of the town that are around. You're trying to escort them to certain spots, because if the monsters catch them, they're gonna kill them. And then the threat, or whatever it is, the panic of the town starts going up. It's one of the ways you can lose the game. It's really good. It's that classic like co-op game, kind of like Pandemic. It doesn't play like it, but just like everyone has a role. All the roles are a little bit different. You get to work together. All the monsters work differently, so you can kind of mix and match them and play. It's very, very cool. At this point, there's 5 Horrifieds, I think. They've done a whole bunch of them. I really, really like Horrified, but this is the most Halloween-y of them, so it's got to be on the list.
All right, number 2 is going to be Final Girl. This is a game that we've just kind of come into recently, but it's been around for a number of years, a handful of years. And it's literally putting you into the shoes of a horror film. You are living out the final girl phenomena where you're the last survivor and you're trying to get other people to safety and stuff. You're the main character in this movie and you have like the big bad villain who's coming for you and all the other happy campers or whatever it might be. And you are doing this through action selection, through cards you're playing. You're gonna be doing different things to move around the map, interact with different items and stuff like that, go and attack the killer directly and try to stay alive in this very kind of tough experience. What's really cool about Final Girl is they've made several sets. You have kind of your core box, which gives you the main components you need, but then there's several different Final Girl characters with their own kind of abilities and things. There are several different kind of settings where, you know, the first one was Camp Happy Trails, which feels very kind of, you know, Friday the 13th, you know, camp slasher film. But there's a whole bunch of different settings and there's a whole bunch of different villains that each come with those settings, but everything is interchangeable. So you can have any villain in any setting against any Final Girl. So just the amount of possible combinations that you could play makes this one that's really good for kind of really investing in and is like one of the just funnest, most exciting, highly thematic solo games out there.
Our number one is going to be Dreadful Meadows. Dreadful Meadows had to be number one because it's just like so Halloween-y, it's ridiculous. Like one of the characters looks a lot like Jack Skellington. It's not Jack Skellington, they have a pumpkin head. They're not the Pumpkin King, they have a pumpkin head. But nonetheless, Dreadful Meadows is super Halloween-y. This is such a really weird, cool theme where you are all kind of like spooky confectioners. You are making candy and you are harvesting candy in your candy field. So every person will have a specific character. That character will have a specific ability. And then you are getting these various patches, these candy patches, which are these tiles, which will have different kinds of candy on them. And you're putting them out in your candy field, and then you can put out these harvesters and these little sugar sprites to harvest candy from your fields. And those candy is how you kind of, it's the economy in the game. So each of the candies are worth a certain amount of money, and that money will be different for each one, 1 through 5. And then you also have these contracts that you're trying to do. These contracts will require certain kinds of candy for you to fulfill them. It's really, really cool and much more strategic than it kind of seemed at first. The first once or twice we kind of played, the first few times we played this game, we weren't very good at it. And we were actually talking to Shem Phillips, who is the person who made the game, and he was kind of giving us some tips, and we're like, oh, you can work these characters much better than we were, I guess is best way of putting it. And it's more strategic than it kind of seems on its surface, where it seems kind of like a lighter game, but there's actually a lot of strategy in there. I really like Dreadful Meadows. I think it's a really interesting kind of gameplay system where like harvesting candy is both your money to get new things like more candy patches, but it's also the way you fulfill these contracts. There's a lot of different things in the game, and it's just got such a cool look and such a cool theme, and it's just so perfect for this time of year. And we play it every single Halloween. We're going to continue doing so because I absolutely adore Dreadful Meadows. So those are our 10 great Halloween-y type games. I love games that are like Christmassy games or whatever. I like games that are set around a certain time that we play like once a year at this time. And some of these are definitely that, where I'm like, yes, I want to play this game at this time of year because it makes sense.
Yes, absolutely. So those are our picks. Let us know in the comments, so what are the games that you like to play this time of year, especially if you want to give yourself kind of the Halloween spooky feel. Get those in the comments so that we can maybe learn about some new games and try those. And we'll see you on the next Top 10.
Bye, everybody.